Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Thanks for joining us for New Life Live. Really happy that you're here. Hope you're having a great, wonderful day today and that it's going to be better even tomorrow. And to help us all get a little bit better, Dr. Jill Hubbard is in the studio and Milan Yerkovich is here also. Hi there,
Steve.
guys.
Hi,
Good
Steve.
to be with you, and you, Jill,
Yeah.
too.
It's good to be with you, and I mean, if I was without you, that'd be good too. But with you, better. It's better. I really believe that.
That reminds me of the song
Better
by
together.
U2, With or Without You. So you
With
can
or
go.
with, yeah,
Yeah.
I got that.
Mhm.
All right. Very good. Well, if you have a favorite song that you'd like to share with us and what it means to you, we're open to that. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going right to the phones because we've got a full board of phone calls, and I want to talk to as many people as possible. And so I'm going to start with Jen from Boston, Massachusetts, listening on WEZE. Hi, Jen. How are you today? What's going on?
Hi, Steve. I'm good.
Hi.
It's funny. I definitely know you too. The song "With or Without You" was one of our favorites growing up. So
Sure.
we went to the concerts and everything.
Oh, me
Yeah.
too. I still do.
Right? Yeah. So I had been listening to your show, and you were speaking about the fatal excuse that kills intimacy,
Yeah.
having to do with, kind of being passive or helpless in a relationship, and real versus the ideal. And what my question has to do with is what that looks like in a healing community. And so last year I went through a number of really stressful things. My home was broken into. My accounts were all hacked, and my parents left the area. And I had, for the
Horrible.
first time, after listening to your program, decided to bring that into community, and instead of it being a healing thing, it became more of a wounding thing.
What happened?
And
What was their reaction to it there that was so hurtful? Really curious about that.
Yeah, so when I spoke to them about it, I don't think I was heard. Like, in other words, I had approached them, the Church for Stephen's Minister, in the fall, and had one. And unfortunately, this woman was very controlling. And so her advice to me, instead of when my place was broken into, instead of kind of helping me walk through the process of going to the police and that kind of thing, she told me to go talk to my father about it. And I said that, he isn't a safe person for me. That's why I have you,
Okay.
And so anyway, what precipitated was just a really unfortunate circumstance with the Stevens minister.
So what's the fatal excuse that came out of that experience?
That's why I'm calling. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. So after that person botched the opportunity to help, what did you do after that? Because there aren't many things more traumatic than having your privacy invaded and accounts broken. I mean, it's just such an insecure thing. What did you do after that?
So I went into the kind of broader community of believers and was asking for help, like if to bring more security around my situation. And it became just a lot of judgment that blocked and buried, or was a barrier to, kind of that healing process that I had hoped would happen.
Okay. Quick question. What were you asking them to do for additional security around you? Well, we'll hear that when we come back. We'll be right back.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met.
connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, a physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, June 25th through the 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Jen, and had a bad experience with a lay counselor there in a church. And so, Jen, you went from the counselor to the larger body. What was it you were hoping they would do to provide more security for you?
Well, I was asking, I was feeling just a need to regain safety on a practical level. So just, the practical steps that I needed to take to get my, internet security back, and just, whether I needed to move, whether this was an ongoing threat or not. And then just the help in terms of emotionally feeling safe again, and kind of integrating within the community love and acceptance and finding kind of that internal healing.
Okay. And how are you wanting them to do that for you? What was the desire there that you wanted them to do for you?
Well, just to bring the feeling of feeling unsafe into like our small group of women, and being kind of heard, and then that's part of the question I have is, what does that actually look like? Like, what does a real healing community, do in that kind of framework to bring about...
Teresa? I'm sorry, Jen. Pardon me for that. I bet you were really scared.
I was. Very scared, yeah.
And I'm sure this was an invasive threat to your safety.
Right.
And what other feelings did you feel?
Oh, it was very much a, a basic need threat where...
It was a threat, and it was a basic need of security and safety that was threatened.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm sure that very much dysregulated you.
Well, yeah, I felt unsafe.
Sure.
And I don't know if I had a reference in terms of what it took to get to sort of recover safety, or what a healing community would do. But I kept hearing, we're better together, bring your pain into community kind of thing.
But I'm trying to show you right now what a healing community does. I'm identifying with your pain. I'm not trying to fix you. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to solve a problem. I'm not trying to create solutions for you. I'm trying to say that would shake a person's life right down to the very foundations. Mm-hmm. And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Thank you for saying that. I thank you for giving that to me. I feel it's great to feel validated, because I think those emotions were really challenged by the people around me, and just to hear you say that is very healing.
Yeah.
So that's what a healing community looks like. Now, Jen, it took me years to learn to do that.
Yeah.
And what I did was what we call right brain to right brain connection. I connected with your emotions and the basic things that threatened your very humanness. And I didn't try to analyze, fix, talk you out of, nothing like that. I didn't ask you if you locked your doors before the burglary took place. I didn't try to challenge anything, except that was a very frightening experience. And traditionally, the church doesn't know how to do this well. Sometimes in some places they do. But if you're looking for emotional safety, you're looking for people who will listen and ask questions instead of fixing. And that's a learned skill. Jill?
Right. Listening first. A couple of weeks ago, Jen, I shared with Milan and Chris about an unexplainable doorbell ring in the middle of the night, and I was scared. And that was just a doorbell ring, right? But I was scared.
Right.
And they sat and listened to me. So I brought it into relationship because I was shaken by it. But they didn't try to fix it. After they listened to me, then we were able to talk about maybe some other things that I could do to follow up, right? And I was also able to share it with friends. I was able to problem solve. I was able to then figure out where the problem was and then move on. But first, you have to have that comfort that Milan is talking about, just to calm your nervous system down.
Right.
Right? And sometimes people think that you're asking more of them than they have to give. But really, you're asking different. You just don't know you're asking for that. But you're asking for them to care and to pause for a moment to hear the plight that you're in.
And I don't want you to miss the fact that Milan said it took years to learn it, and he was wanting to learn it. He was headed that direction. A lot of people don't know they need it. They think when you come to them in the church that what you're really looking for is a great scripture to stake your claim on, and you'll hear things like, well, the Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear. If you're afraid of being burglarized, then you've got to give that over. Well, that's ridiculous, because the very few people, if you've been invaded, aren't afraid that it might happen again. It just is really rough. So what I'm saying is, sometimes, like Jill say, if you're expecting this of the church, you might just be expecting something that is beyond most churches' ability, but that doesn't mean they're all bad or anything like that. They just, this is one area that they just haven't quite mastered yet.
Yeah, that's interesting, Steve, because that was the verse thrown at me so many times, and I felt internally challenged by it, because then I was feeling, guilt that I was feeling fear, and yet on the other hand, feeling like this is a legitimate feeling that I'm having from this event. So,
that's right.
Yeah. And what you didn't say when you sought help was, is there anybody here that could quote some scripture for me that would make me feel more ashamed of myself and feel less than anybody? I already feel like second class because I had a trauma. Somebody broke in. I feel like God didn't prevent it. So if you can just give me somebody to make it worse, that's what I'd like. Nobody does that.
Steve, that was really important right there. Listen here, 1 second. You have to see yourself, Jen, as a traumatized person.
Yeah.
And you were deeply traumatized.
That's
when
right.
we are invaded and somebody's been in our home or they've crashed into our bank accounts, that's traumatic. And most people don't appreciate how powerful trauma is to dysregulate us, and how deeply it soaks in, and how penetrating trauma is in our lives. Most people don't recognize that.
And most of us walk around with an illusion of safety, right? That keeps us able to be functioning. But to be aware, to have that disrupted, and to be so aware of how vulnerable you are, that is extremely destabilizing.
So a lot of times when we want counseling from the church, if they're not trained, that can happen. Or if you're not in a really great recovery group or support group of some kind, that can really be devastating to you because you're not getting the help that you want. So hold on. I want to see if we can find something in your area that might be of help to you, or a counselor that could really help you deal with this who's been trained to deal with this. And in the meantime, I want to talk with Kim from Birmingham, New York. Hi, Kim. Welcome to New Life. How are you doing, and how can we help you? Is Kim not there? Okay.
Well, wait a minute.
Here
There
she
we
is.
go. There we go.
Yep. Hi, Kim.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can. How can we help?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I've been married for 18 years to a wonderful man who's about 20 years my senior, and I had some reservations back during our courtship, and I hesitated when he proposed to me because of the age difference concerns at the time. And I, as a new believer, I worked through that, and I prayed through that, and I sought some counsel, and I was just, I really felt an impression that I got the green light from the Lord. Even though I was a new believer, I felt that he blessed that. And so what's happening today, I feel like I might have like some anticipatory grief going on. I feel I've been praying to God that in His mercy that He would not allow my husband to pass before me. I'm just, well, I think part of what's feeding into this is that my childhood was very, very dysfunctional, and I got abandonment by my mom at a young age, and my dad was an alcoholic, and so I was raised pretty much without parents at all. And
okay, I want to jump in here, and I want to congratulate you on something, because you're sensing that something's there, and very unaware people don't sense it, and so they start they start disconnecting from the person that might die. They start being mean, even. I don't need this person. And it's really unhealthy.
I think I've been distancing for quite a while from him, and now this is bringing me to this point of extreme loneliness and disconnection from my husband. That's more painful than me trying to self-protect from fear of losing him. So
rather than do without him for 20 years of your life after he dies, you do without him for 40 years, 20 while he's alive and 20 while he's not here. Milan, Jill, how does she get out of this rut that she's in? I'm really glad that she's given us a chance to help.
Right. I'm really glad that you are recognizing this. And, you know, as a child, since you were abandoned and had such difficulty, and you said you virtually had no parents, so you had to figure out how to survive with very little.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're really good at that. And the thing is, in childhood, when we have a difficult time, we learn some defenses, some things to get us through. The problem is we then grow up and we don't realize that those ways of coping are perhaps no longer needed, right? And so now, as something comes up where you're anticipating him abandoning you, right, being gone, you're kicking into that survival mode early on, like Steve said. And so you're choosing, in a sense, to lose him sooner, right, as some way of buffering yourself from the pain. But it doesn't, because you're in grief now, right? And you're disconnected. And how sad to be able to look back and go, wow, I the last 10 years of his life, I didn't have much relationship with him. Right? And then the grief is going to be even more. And part of when we embrace relationship, when we make that commitment, it's until death do us part, But it's also, that's emotionally. We don't leave emotionally before that time. Right? So I think a lot of this is tied into your childhood stuff and that fear of, oh no, it's happening again. It's going to happen again.
I want to hear from Milan. We'll do that right after this break. One of the things that's hard to understand or grasp is if we were abandoned as a child and it was painful and tough and almost unbearable, well, we're not a child anymore. We have learned some things. We have some endurance, some abilities, and when he does die, you're going to be okay. If we could just believe that, we're going to be okay, and we're going to work it out as we need to as an adult, then maybe we don't have to separate before the death occurs. We'll be back right after this for more New Life.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
Every day, thousands of women discover their husband is struggling with sexual integrity. And since shelter-in-place orders have gone into effect, traffic to porn sites has skyrocketed. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
I believed that I could do it on my own. I just believed if I tried hard enough and pulled myself up hard enough by my bootstraps, I could do it. It was a battle that I'd had all my life. I had to get help.
The Every Man's Battle workshop can be a trip to the sexual addiction emergency room. During this time of social distancing, the Every Man's Battle workshop will be held online May 1st. Find sexual integrity, accountability, and connection. Register now to reserve a place at the Every Man's Battle online workshop. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
The single most helpful thing was to realize that I wasn't the weirdest guy on the planet.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Kim, and before we move on, I did want to hear from Milan what you're thinking about all of this, Milan.
Well, Kim, what a great question. And you've really thoughtfully figured out a lot of this on your own. You've figured out the pickle you're in, why it's there, the fear of abandonment. So all I can say to you is he will abandon you when he dies. That's what death is. It's I'm leaving you. And it could be sudden, and it is painful. It's ugly. We just lost Dave Stoop on our staff. And death is a very unhappy, ugly event. And it's meant to be. God imposed it upon us. So to accept that and just to say, this isn't the same as my mom and dad abandoning me. This is, a person that I love and care for, but out of fear, I have pushed him away. And to share that with him, Kim, and really tell him that this is really about your pain and your history that caused you to think this way, but I'd like to have a do-over. I'd like to start over again with you and build something, and who knows how long God will give us, but we'll enjoy those moments. But then, and I'll share this with you, Kim. I know millions are listening too, but my wife and I are having these discussions. One of us is going to lose the other person one of these days. And it's a very painful discussion, and it is, but it's an inevitable thing that we have to face, and but it's unpleasant. But we've actually talked about it, and we've done everything we can to make sure everything is in good shape, business-wise, etc. But to the degree you're bonded and close, that makes death and loss more painful. The closer you are, the more painful death and separation is. So you've been protecting yourself from the pain of separation.
I think it's a different kind of pain, though, because I think if she distances herself from him and then he dies, I think she's going to feel panicked.
I agree with you.
That she lost all this time.
I agree.
Right?
Right.
And you guys having those conversations, Milan, it's preparing your heart. It's not going to be, the grief won't be easy, but you will feel good about all that you talked about. And it helps to prepare you for that time when it does come, if you can be prepared.
So I agree with you, Jill. I mean, to jump back in with your husband and make a commitment, what you would then feel as a loss is going to be different than had you done nothing and let this time go by.
Well, I hope that's helpful to you, Kim. Many people go through this kind of situation, and I just think whatever you do, you need to be talking with him together.
Sorry, just out of curiosity, Kim, how old is your husband right now?
Well, she's not.
Here we go.
She's not. Sorry.
Wait. Let's see.
Okay, here she is.
How old is your husband, Kim?
59.
59. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Well,
fairly good health, but he has some struggles, and he's getting a mild surgery soon, so he will be under some sedation. You know, just things like that come up along the way, re-trigger these fears to the point that they're almost suffocating. One more thing that I'm wondering about this is I don't know that I've really fully processed all of the loss and the grieving from losing my mom at a very young age from abandonment, and just the really no fatherhood either. That is still very, very painful, and it still affects me today. It affects my ability to be a parent to my own children, and I continually have to forgive and process that.
Yeah.
But
Well, Kim, let me just jump in here because Kim, let me just jump in. I doubt that you have grieved that. And given the fact that you're talking about a man that's 59, which many people would say is relatively young, and you're worried about his death, this could be the issue, is that it is uncomfortable for you to develop an intimate relationship, and you have an opportunity to do that. And so maybe you're thinking that it's one thing. It's this abandonment stuff, when maybe, Mom never taught you to be intimate, or Dad, or whatever, and you just really need to do that grief work, get it out of the way, connect with him, and find out when you give yourself fully to intimacy, what comes up with you. Because, 59,
you got 20 to 30 more years.
My mom's 93, and she's doing great. So I hope and pray that this challenges you to go beyond normal understanding and try to go
I think this is a wake-up call, Kim, that says it's time to do some work on that childhood stuff. So I think therapy would be really good. I think our emotional freedom workshop would be great for you as places to start.
When we've been traumatized, as you have, one of two things will be true. You either work on your trauma, or your trauma will rule your life. Your life will be living out your trauma. And so we lose life when our trauma is not explored and worked on, because it controls and dominates, as you've beautifully indicated here, through fear, which has caused you to do certain things.
And the person that we chose to love, we end up putting it all on them, because the other person is not around.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., July 23rd to the 25th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness series, including Understanding and Loving a Person with Depression and Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcohol and Drug Addiction. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. Larry, what do you have for us today here? We're glad you're here.
Yeah, Steve, just reminding folks that we have a matching gift, and it's a real big one. It's $459,000, and we need your help. If until you give money, we can't release that. Bit by bit as it comes along. It's not an all or nothing, but we're looking at it as all or nothing over time. We want it all matched. So if you could give towards that, it'll make a difference. And I want to kind of get off the money part of it and just remind you why we want you to give. It's so important what New Life does for people, what this radio program, what Steve, Jill, and Milan are doing today. It's amazing. So I want to share one quick testimony. I want you all to know how much your ministry means to me. 7 years ago, my heart was completely broken by divorce. I can't tell you how many days and nights your radio program was a comfort to me, just to know I wasn't alone, and the reminders that God would be faithful to get me through the dark nights, give me the courage and strength to put one foot in the other, help me to keep going. Today, I'm able to believe in a future that's not doom and gloom. I've never had the pleasure of meeting y'all, but I feel like you're my dear, sweet friends. Thank you for doing what you do, and may God richly bless you.
Wow.
What a nice letter. Thank you for that.
I love it that people know what to do when the problems come because they listen to this program. And it makes a difference, folks. So if you would please give. Everything that we do, it takes money. I don't want to dwell upon how we use the money and why we need your money, other than it changes people's lives and the Holy Spirit activates it when you take a first step.
Yeah. If you can help us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll send you this book by Steve Poe, Creatures of Habit. It's all about the habits underneath the habits we usually talk about. It can really help you gain some insight here. That's our way of saying thank you. We really do want your support. Appreciate all the folks that went into creating almost $500,000 of matching fund. And so 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Larry.
Alrighty.
Appreciate that. All right. Let's go to, how about Karen from, I believe it's Fayetteville, Georgia, listening on the podcast. Hi there. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate you all and all that you do.
Thank you. How can we help?
My question today is, what should be my husband and my response to our 31-year-old daughter, who has not grown up and still acts like a high school student. And she is a social drinker that needs to grow up and know her limitations and realize she cannot drink and drive. She doesn't see when she drinks and drives, bad things happen. So maybe she shouldn't. So maybe she should stop drinking. She does not live in our home anymore, so we don't have any leverage with her.
Mm-hmm.
She has totaled 2 cars from drinking and driving. This time, she was charged with a DUI and taken to jail. 4.5 years ago, she was in a induced coma for 3 weeks due to crashing into a brick wall.
Now, I'm just curious about something. Based on what you've already said here, why did you say she was a social drinker that needs to stop? Why? Just think about that. Why would you say she's a social drinker that needs to stop drinking?
Because she only does it when she's around. When she's around alcohol, it's not like when she's at home. She drinks all day long, or she just does it when she's out with friends and things like that. She doesn't buy it, in her home all the time.
Here's what I think might be the reason. Because everything you've told me, there's no social drinking going on here whatsoever. And most people, when they get, most people drive drunk all their life. It's very difficult for the police to catch drunk drivers. They catch them when they have a wreck. If she was pulled over, it's such a horrible experience getting booked and all this stuff. Most people will stop drinking if that ever happens to them. Didn't seem to
Or at least stopping drinking and driving. I mean, she ended up in a coma the first time.
So what I'm saying is your daughter is not a social drinker. She is an alcoholic drinker. And we need to get her some help. How do we help her? Well, you don't talk her into growing up. That's just not going to do anything. So I'll finish up with this, but I want to hear from Milan and Jill what they think would help this, or help the mother, help the daughter, because it's hard to help a 31-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What do you guys think?
Well, I can see why you're so worried, Karen. I mean, this is really destructive behavior. This is what interventions are for, and working with an intervention specialist and talking about getting her some help that can really make a difference in her life. You said she doesn't live at home, so you don't have a lot of leverage, and I don't know that you provide a car for her. But anything that you do for her, okay, so she's completely self-supporting. So the idea of an intervention is to first let the person know how much they mean to you, and then to tell them how concerned you are for their behavior and what your fears are, your fears of losing her, right, that she might not be so lucky the next time, and what you're prepared to do if she doesn't choose to get help. That you want to invite her to get help, but if she doesn't choose that, then you guys are taking some steps to protect yourselves in a sense, because this is reached a level of severity that you can't just go on not noticing.
Milan, you have a thought here?
I agree 100% with Jill and Steve. You really can't talk about the entire person of who your daughter is and her behavior, her everything from her personality to her reactivity to being a little girl inside, all those kinds of things. You have to deal with the addiction first, because you're not talking to a clear person until you do. And I agree with Jill that this is an excellent point, Jill, to hire an interventionist who will help you craft an intervention that will directly lead her into, should she choose to go, that would lead her directly from that moment on into some sort of a rehab program.
Right.
And unless you do something, you have to match severity with severity.
Right.
And she's doing severe behaviors, and this
is
a severe intervention saying we must do something. And this is the best I think you can do.
Right. And Karen, I think it would be good for you to attend some Al-Anon meetings. There are meetings geared towards parents of alcoholics. And for you to really, like what Steve was starting to say to you, you want to call it social drinking because she just drinks with friends and she doesn't buy it. But an alcoholic, it's what happens to a person when they drink, not how often they drink. You know, what you're describing, the daily drinker who's hiding in their house, okay, that's a different kind of drinker, and that's usually way down the road, right? But she's an episodic binge drinker.
That is what she is. Now, here's the thing. I can save you, if you would just believe me, I could save you some research. There is no formula, there are no magic words that anybody's going to tell you that's going to turn her life around. Not there. No formula, no magic words. She needs to do what every alcoholic has to do. They have to surrender to the fact that she has an extreme limitation. And if she can accept that, life just becomes amazing. She cannot drink like other people drink. And so she has to stop that drinking. But you, as the mom, you have an extreme limitation also. You cannot help her on your own. She must get in with a group of people who've been where she is and made their way out, and people that know how to lead people out of it. Treatment, recovery, 12-step. I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible and the workbook that goes with it, and I hope that that's going to help you gain some insight here. It's just one of those things that just doesn't go away when we learn the right thing to say. I'm so sorry what you're going through, but I'm glad you called. I hope that was helpful to you. Just want to mention also that we've got Every Man's Battle coming up here May the 1, and that's pretty quick. It is online, so you can still stay home online, don't have to travel if you don't want to. Restore is June 25th, and Milan K. and myself, we do Intimacy and Marriage on July the 23rd in Washington, D.C. We would love for you to be there. All of these intensives are just, well, they're life-changing. They're marriage-changing. They're character-changing. And we've worked many, many years to make them as powerful as they can possibly be. We would like for you to benefit from that. But you have to call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That is the number. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back for more of New Life Live. Very, very glad you're with us today. Hope and pray that something we say will help you or someone you love. We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Really glad you're with us here today. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help or if we can help you, we would love for you to call us. Let's go to Barbara, Annapolis, Maryland. WAVA is the station. And I'm so sorry I didn't get to everybody else. This is my last caller today. How could we help you?
Hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just love listening to you guys.
Thank you, Barbara.
Most wonderful solutions. I have been troubled for years, I think, by the last verse in the 14th chapter of Romans, and it was addressing food that was dedicated to idols and making other people feel guilty or leading them to something wrong. But
what troubles you about that?
It says everything that does not come from faith is sin, and I just tend to take that and turn it into this. It just is, it's just a hammer on my head because I have trouble making decisions, and I'm always worried that I'm doing something that's going to displease God. And so I think, for one thing, I really enjoy eating sweets, but I know that sugar is not really good for anybody. And so every time I eat something sweet, I think, well, because I have doubts about eating this, then it must mean that it's wrong. And so because of that, I thought, well, all right, I'll try eating some things like erythritol, the keto-type sugars, and they are not as bad for your body, yet at the same time, they're more expensive, much more expensive than regular food. I think
let me share with you. Let me share with you that there are a couple of reasons that something might not be done in faith. One is that it might be a sin, right? Like if I choose pornography, well, that's not done in faith. The other reason might be that I'm not truly informed on the context of what that verse is saying. And it's interesting that you're choosing a passage that's very close to God saying, hey, let's quit obsessing over what food is clean and what food's not clean and all these kinds of different things. You're kind of sticking with that theme. I'm going to start with Milan here and see, Milan, what do you have to say about this? Because, man, we could really get in trouble if we were evaluating everything based on it was really healthy or kind of healthy or not healthy.
Well, Barbara, it's a good question. But I have to ask you a question first. How much have you lived with fear in your life and obsessed about doing wrong things, even before you ever heard this verse?
Since I was 16 years old.
What happened then?
I guess I was diagnosed with clinical depression. That's what they called it in those days. And then later on I learned it's obsessive-compulsive disorder. That's kind of a change in the terminology, I guess.
Well, OCD
is with me all my life.
Yes, and that is so painful and debilitating, Barbara. And so...
Well, it is.
Oh, I know. And I have had spells in my life where I've been highly anxious, and it's very debilitating. It's painful, and it just sucks the energy out of you, and it sucks joy right out of you.
Yes,
and
it does.
It's so hard. And we live in a broken world, Barbara. It's a broken world. And we're saved, and one day we'll be in a perfect world. Yes. So in this world, there are lots of doubts. There's lots of fears. There's lots of things that Jill might do something, and I might not do that. We have choices. The big controversy in Romans and in other passages is about a very big issue that was facing the early church. Where do I get, what meat market do I go to? And they would sacrifice, the pagans would sacrifice meat to pagan gods and then sell it in the marketplace. And the discussion is, should I do that? And so it's a discussion about, if we know something, that's one thing. If we don't, that's another. And so we're trying to make a choice as to whether we want to eat meat or just eat vegetables. It's a matter of faith, and it's my choice. I don't think that verse should be imposed over every aspect of your life, including sweets.
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing that because you're obsessing. And
Yes.
I would want to get help for that as opposed to trying to solve the question of that verse. You're not sinning by eating some sugar. Now, can some people eat way too much? Sure. But I would really want help on the deeper issue, Barbara.
Right.
Because, and just to say this, see, that passage is about freedom. I mean, that whole segment of, and you don't have freedom. That's the obsessive compulsive. Jill, your thoughts?
Right, and to go down the path of trying to figure out whether the sweet is okay or not is really indulging your obsessive compulsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That part of the brain that's the hamster wheel that just keeps going round and round. And it's really important, Barbara, I think, for you to see when your OCD-ness is taking over, and for you to almost be able to say, oh, there it is again. That's my OCD part of my brain taking over. And to see it as it's something that's being imposed on you, versus it being a legitimate question about the sweets, right? Because the guys are right. You are not free in that. You are feeling really bound. And it's the false myth of OCD is that if I do everything exactly right, then I'm going to be okay. Or if I follow all of God's laws, then I will be saved, right? Or then I will have peace and joy and the fruits of the Spirit. And there's no way for any of us to reach that level of perfection in this world.
Yeah, and the other thing is it keeps the main thing from being the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of little things that don't matter, and then you can't even do the main thing, which is worship God, love other folks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm glad you called us, because we want you to be free of that. We want you to be free.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what helped? Your brain is an interesting thing. I'm going to be very brief with this. But your brain is reinforced by repetitive thoughts. It builds itself up. It builds heftier pathways, and then it contributes to a part of the cause. When I was highly anxious once upon a time, I took an antidepressant, which raised my serotonin levels, and I stopped obsessing. I stopped being anxious, and it helped my brain settle back down. And I'm going to use a funny phrase here, to a normal size. who knows how big your brain's supposed to be? But it helped it shrink back down into a place of normalcy. It was reparative to my brain to be on an antidepressant, and I would then be less anxious and obsess less. And now it's a thing of the past. It's really gone, Barbara, and I've been able to work through it. And I have to say, the medications really helped. Now, when Paul was the apostle 2,000 years ago, he didn't have an Excedrin to take for a headache. Now we have things that are different. Steve, we're about ready to wrap.
Yeah, we are. And he did tell Timothy to take an external substance. He said, hey, drink a little wine for that stomach problem.
That's right.
Hey, if you're struggling, we'd like to help you. I'll send Take Your Life back here. It's got some stuff for obsessive compulsive in there. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Want to help you, want to get you in a workshop, want to get you a resource, we want to get to you some kind of therapist. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.